What is chapter 17 about? Religion. In fact, you talk about an unusual, let me read to you chapter 17, and now you see why unsaved people are afraid of the Bible. Imagine this is your first time, and you go like this. You're in the hotel, and you get a Gideon Bible, and you open it like this and say, I'm going to try out Christianity. And you start reading this. And it says, and one of the seven angels who had the seven bowls came and talked to me, saying, come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot. You go, harlot? Who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth commit fornication. And the inhabitants of the world were drunk with the wine of her fornication. And verse 3, I saw the woman sitting on a scarlet beast, and she was arrayed, verse 4, in purple, and she had a golden cup full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication, and on her forehead a name was written, Mystery Babylon the Great, Mother of the Harlots. And then it gets worse. If they are still reading their Gideon Bible, look at verse 8 or 6. And I saw a woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. Wouldn't you put your Gideon Bible away and say, what on earth? What is Christianity about? I'm reading the Bible, and it's about a woman in fancy clothes with this horrible name on her forehead that's drunk and a harlot. I mean, that's how God looks at religion. By the way, in the ancient world, harlotry, prostitution, was something slaves did. And all of them had on their forehead, just like this woman, they had their name, and they were labeled so that you knew who you were paying for. And so to the original readers of this, the first century people, they all had seen women with the name on their forehead prowling the streets, and they knew right what they were. And so, do you understand, this book so resonated with these people that got it. They understood that God considers religion to be as unacceptable to normal people that are his people as prostitution was to the common person back in the first century. Okay, religion. What is religion? Isaiah 53 tells us that all of us were born like sheep. All we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to our own way. Religion is going my own way, not God's way. And it starts right back in the Garden of Eden with Cain and Abel. And we're going to look at that Cain became the first convert to Satan, and Abel became the first martyr for God. And that's the beginning of Satan's war against God. Where we are right now, we're still in the tribulation of God's wrath, but we're looking at Satan's two deadliest agents. Now, remember, we left off in chapter 16. Armageddon is the plain of Jezreel in Israel. It's, Mount Carmel's here, and the hill of Megiddo is there, and the Jezreel Valley is going down toward Bet-Shean, if you know Bible geography. And it's shaped like a diamond, and it says triangle. And that is called Har Megiddo. The hill of Megiddo is over here, and the plain in front of it, the plain of Jezreel, is where Armageddon, where all the soldiers are staging. So we're on earth. Chapter 17, we're back up getting the heavenly look over the edge. And God has John look over the edge, and he shows him in chapter 17, Satan, the god of this world, has deployed two lethal viruses that he's been infecting all of humanity with since the dawn of human race. Chapter 17 is religion. Satan has promoted people trying to achieve God's favor by their own personal human achievements. That's what religion is. Talk to anybody. Wait till your next time witnessing. If you talk to about 3 or 4 people, one of them will say to you, well, I hope that my good outweighs my bad. That is like 80% of the people I talk to. The other 20% don't think they've done anything bad, and they don't need to outweigh it. I mean, they're blasted by sin and desensitized. But the rest of them that still have a conscience, did you know what your conscience is? It's God's ally he's built into every human being. It's God's ally that's inside of every human saying, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that, I'm not sure I would do that, that doesn't look right. That conscience. It's a part of the image of God that God has put into everybody is their conscience. You know what most people do? Paul put it this way. In Romans chapter 1, he said, every human being is born with 2 candles in their hands. Did you know Paul said that in Romans chapter 1? The first candle is creation. And if you hold up that candle, you'll see there's a creator out there, and you'll say, wow, I want to know you, creator. The other candle is conscience that I just talked about. And that conscience is saying, you are doing things that aren't right, you're going to get in trouble. And you know what people do? They believe in evolution and say, no creator. They blow that candle out. And then they live to the hilt, like our power walker friend, and try and blow that candle out, the conscience one. And then they go through life desensitized. Do you know if you sin too much, do you know what happens? Let's see. I'll take 30 seconds to tell you. I had a dear friend in school that invited me to go to his house. And he was in Texas, so I drove to Texas. His family raised cows. His mother took me on a Jeep in their ranch to their Black Angus cows. And his mother, a Texan, wore a big hat. Women used to wear these beautiful hats, with all kinds of stuff. And it was held on her head by hat pins. Hat pins are about as long as my finger. They kind of have like a pearl thing on them, and you stick them in, I guess, to your hat and your hair. Somehow it holds your hat on. And she jumped off her Jeep in her Texan outfit and said, you're going to be a minister, aren't you? I said, yes. She said, my son told me you're going to be a minister. She said, I'm going to give you an illustration you'll never forget. I never have. She pulled her hat pin this long out of her hat, walked up to a 1,400-pound black, gigantic, its shoulder was, I was looking at its shoulder, like standing there, and it was as heavy as a car. She pulls out her hat pin, walks up to the triple bar M brand in the side of that cow. She said, watch. And she jammed that hat pin right into the side of that cow, in the brand. And it was going, chewing its cud. It didn't stop. Why? It didn't feel it. Where they brand, as a little calf, they put that red hot out of the fire brand, pull it from the fire, and burn it right into that cow. It has killed all of the nerves, and they don't come back. It's a dead zone. And she looked at me and pulled her hat pin out of that monster cow. She said, that's what sin will do to you. Wow, she should have been a youth pastor. Should have brought all the kids down there to the ranch, because that's what sin does. It desensitizes you until you don't feel it. And you can just chew your cud through life and push off the conviction. Religion has to come into that, because how do you get to God then if you've got all this baggage? And Satan's lie, his first virus is, just make your own way. And this is what we're seeing on the college campuses all across America. Next hour, we're going to look at materialism, which is really a temptation for everybody. Religion is, and so is materialism. Materialism is living and believing that my purpose in life is about how much I can enjoy it, how much I can own, how much power and glory, rather than actively serving God. And so we'll come to that in just a minute.